Next up, the CarBuyer Advisor, your first place to turn for everything automotive. Taking a stand for consumer education and dedicated to connecting you with the industry's finest automotive products, services, and advice. And now, please welcome the CarBuyer Advisor.
Our next guest we invited back so you get to know them better. Some businesses offer so many products and services it takes more than one appearance for you to really get a chance to know them. And we want you to get to know our next guest. If you own a diesel or know someone that does, you're going to want to get to know them well. Please welcome back to our show, Melinda and Kevin Campbell, owners of Dynamic Diesel Incorporated, along with one of their top GM Master Certified Technicians, Mike Robbins. Again, thank you for accepting our invitation to be back.
Thank you, Mitch. It's good to be back.
Now, we have a few topics to talk about today, but before we get started, for our listeners that may not have had a chance to join us for your last interview, please tell them a little bit about what Dynamic Diesel is all about.
Dynamic Diesel is a full-service repair garage for pickups, both gasoline and diesel, and small, light, and medium-duty commercial fleet vehicles as well. We specialize in repair, maintenance, and performance enhancement.
Now, you say the word spark plugs, and most people know what we're talking about. Go to a diesel and say the word glow plugs, and I bet a lot of people think they're the same thing, but what are they and what do they really do, Mike?
Well, the glow plug is the equivalent of the spark plug, but for the diesel. It is what allows the vehicle to start in cold mornings, cold weathers. Diesel takes pressure to start. It's not spark ignited. So the glow plug acts as the heating element in the cylinder to get it up to temp and get it to start with relative ease. And these cold mornings make it a little harder for that to happen.
You know, what makes them susceptible to the havoc of winter?
Well, again, the colder weather, they have to be on longer to get the cylinders up to temp so that it can start. Most people don't even notice it with the newer vehicles because they operate so quickly. But when they start failing, they will notice. So the easiest thing to do is come in and let us check them out. Let us take a look. And a lot of the new vehicles will warn you if there's a failure, but a lot of the older ones won't. So it's a good idea to have them checked.
Roughly, what do they cost, and can I do them one at a time?
Well, you can do them one at a time. They're not extremely expensive, and of course, each vehicle varies depending on the amount of labor it takes to get into each one. The glow plugs themselves are relatively inexpensive. It's the labor that can get a little higher depending on vehicle. We recommend not doing one at a time.
Why would that be? Usually
when you replace one, you're going to be back for another. They're all the same age. You replace one, and a week down the road, you're coming back for another one. It behooves you as a customer and saves you money to just come in and let us do all 8 or 6 or 4, depending on the vehicle, and you'll have a lot better life out of them, a lot less problems.
And what typically are the symptoms of those glow plugs needing to be replaced or repaired?
Long crank in the morning, long hard start, a little bit of smoke out of the tailpipe when you first fire the car in the morning or the truck in the morning. Those kind of things. Now, batteries also take a real beating in the cold weather. And what causes that, and what are your recommendations on batteries? Well, batteries are another big killer in the winter. The lower temperatures drags down the ability of the battery to do its job. It needs voltage, it needs amperage, it needs the power to be able to start your vehicle and operate your vehicle. And the colder the weather, the harder time it has doing that. And by having them checked, especially in the winter, when the cold weather hits here, you're not going to come out to a surprise in the morning and find your vehicle. Well, and many of our sports car owners are garaging their cars in the winter, but trucks generally, they get run right through it. When is it appropriate to have the batteries checked on a diesel, and what about block heaters? Well, when you bring your truck into Dynamic Diesel, we, of course, check your battery every time you come in. For service, we check the cables, make sure they're clean, make sure they've got a tight connection. But if you haven't been to us, it's a good idea to have them checked quite frequently. Every time you have a service, it should be something you should check out and have somebody take at least a quick look at. If you're having any kind of voltage issues, the lights are dim when you're driving at night, the cranking seems a little slower than it normally does, it's a good time to bring them in and have them load checked, make sure everything's in good shape so it doesn't leave you stranded. Am I understanding correctly that through the winter, the battery cables, generally the corrosion increases, it grows faster in the cold? It can be. It's more of a cold weather thing, making the batteries breathe a little harder. They suffer from a cold sweat and a hot sweat, so anywhere in between. There's such a temperature difference between driving and sitting in your garage or sitting in the driveway in the cold mornings, it can cause a lot of issues. And that's where this generally starts from, and why that might be even more prone in the winter. Now, last time I was in your shop, I saw a terrific product you carry that everyone that hates chaining up going over the passes will want to know about.
tell us a little bit more about that, if you will.
Yes, Mitch. They're on-spot automatic snow chains. They've been around for about 35 years. The idea was conceived over in Sweden, and they've been used and tested worldwide now. We've been a distributor for them for about 10 years. We've had them on multiple applications as far as school buses, emergency vehicles. They will fit down to half-ton pickups now. What we do is they're custom built for each vehicle. They're measured for that specific vehicle, so you don't kind of walk in and we have them on the shelf. This is all custom order stuff. These work great as far as going over Donner when we have these storms move in that dump up on the peaks, but not necessarily in the valleys. So they're toggle switch controlled. You slow down your vehicle to about 15 miles an hour. Engage the chains and then go on up over the peak. When you get on the other side, go ahead and disengage them and continue on with your trip. These are now recognized by Caltrans, Nevada DOT. They're recognized in all 50 states. Where we have a lot of problems is on the California side. A lot of the Caltrans people in the beginning didn't realize that these were on their website as traction control devices and okayed by Caltrans. So that problem has been solved now. When you go through the truck scales or you go through the bug checks or chain checks, everybody knows what they are now. There's actually a sticker on the vehicle that tells them that you have on spots. We have some factory trained technicians. We've actually sent them back to the factory to deal with all the problems that they've had over the years. They've really got their act together now. We see very few problems with them.
Well, and let's talk a little bit about, we described that there's a toggle switch on the dash. Describe to them what's really going on when they press that toggle switch. You said they don't have to come to a stop and the chains just come out.
Right.
And for the person that goes up and over that pass, there's times where you'll get up to the top, you'll put on chains, you get down a few feet, have to take them off, get back up and into snow again and have to put them back on. And chaining up can be an on and off process going over a pass. But with these, it's just a flip of a switch. And what's happening underneath the car during that time? If you can just kind of mentally describe it for our radio listeners.
What you have is you have a toggle switch in your dash, and we have an onboard air compressor on your vehicle. So when you flip this switch, it opens a solenoid valve, allows air to go back to the units, and they actually have an arm that swings down, contacts the sidewall of your tire. As the tire spins, it turns the wheel on the on-spot unit and allows the chain links to go under the tire and act like a regular snow chain.
So, and I'll describe again, I'll add a little bit to that there's kind of like a plate with a bunch of chains that are attached to it, and it puts it down and level with the floor of the tire. And like you said, the tires pull one chain from front to back, and it turns this plate and allows the next chain to come underneath the tire. And so you're really not wrapping your tire at all. It's just staying underneath that tire. One chain comes around at a time as your tire rotates, and it turns this dial with maybe 8 to 10 different chains on it. And again, you don't have to get out of your car. You flip a switch, and out come these chains, and the tire rotates them around and around, and you have no paying a tire monkey to, I guess that's what they call them. I hope I'm not insulting anybody, but that's what I've always heard, a tire chain installer. You don't have to pay them to take them on, pay them to take them off, or get out in the cold and deal with the weather, the wind, the splashing of traffic going by you. You just press a button and you have chains to go over the pass. And, I think that even if it's something that people only do a couple of times in a year, that just over years worth of use of these, the value for them, I was blown away. I've never seen them before, and I guess they've been out for a while, but maybe I'm a little bit behind on this one.
No, you're absolutely correct. They, as that arm swings down, it's got a rubber-coated wheel that has probably 8 to 10 chain links on it. And as the tire turns on the vehicle, it turns this wheel and throws your chain links under the tire. These work really, really well on black ice. That's actually what they were designed for. So if you get into an icy situation or you think you might be on ice, say we're going up to Virginia City is a good example.
Well, in Mount Rose Highway, just at the very top up there coming over.
And you're right. You just hit a switch, turn them on. When you feel you don't need them anymore, you disengage your switch, and you're back rolling again. These things actually attach to the U-bolts, the existing U-bolts on the rear axle. So they're affixed to the vehicle solid. There's nothing on the tires. This thing just comes down and contacts the sidewall, and as it turns, the whole unit works.
Yeah, it's really amazing, and I think that if people have had them, a lot of our listeners, like we said, that maybe not even just the ones that go over Donner Summit, they go up and down from Lake Tahoe or want to go up during the winter to go skiing. I mean, these things are pretty amazing, and they're really an incredible item. Now, this is the second time that we had you back on our show, and we hope to have you guys back on a regular basis. We live in truck country, and if you have a diesel, this is where to take it. Melinda, how do they get a hold of you if they do have anything else? And do you have anything else to add?
Yes, Mitch. We are at 220 Coney Island Drive in the back of the Trucking Meadows Business Park. Our phone number is 775-359-4477. You can find us on Facebook, or you can get to our website at dynamicdieselinc.com. And we even have the ability from the website. You can schedule a repair appointment right from our website. It's pretty convenient. And if you're listening today, be sure and let us know that you heard us here on the CarBuyer Advisor.
Well, we want all of our business to know that you are tuning in and that you support quality. Kevin and Melinda Campbell and Mike Robbins from Dynamic Diesel Incorporated.